Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are building the most voted for kit. We had two going head to head, Gundam 1 versus Gundam 2. We've got our 3.0 Master Grade RX-78 versus the Master Grade Mark II AEUG version. Of course, we like the AEUG better than the Titans. I think it just looks better in gray personally. But the winner of this vote was the Mark II. Okay, the Mark II wins the vote, and I believe he had 68% of the vote. Let's look at the results. He's got 67% of the vote. The Mark II is the winner. So we're going to be building this guy up, and I can't wait to get into it. I am super excited to build this guy. He's been pretty close to the top of my list since I got it. He's got this awesome base that he comes with, and let's just jump on into the build. The RX-178 Gundam Mark II from Zeta Gundam was piloted by Camille Badan when he stole it from the Titans before he eventually upgraded to the titular Zeta Gundam. You can see there's a couple scenes of the anime here on the side, which is really cool, along with some nice artwork of the model. And you can see all this stuff up close. You get a look at those chrome pistons looking really nice, and also his arsenal's looking really good, and the stand, which of course comes with these awesome pilot and crew little figures, and I just love when they do that. So let's get into the manual. I absolutely love this artwork on the front with the little explosion in the background. And these old manuals are really something else. You get all this cool information. You get a bunch of extra stuff, a bunch of extra artwork. And here we have the runner count. We've got about 18 runners in this kit. And it's a pretty decent sized build, but not too huge. And I am absolutely loving this artwork, man. This stuff is amazing. This is what I meant by Bandai needs to go back to doing some of this stuff they used to do in the older manuals. You can see the weapons here. And something interesting about this build is, for some reason, you do the weapons right after you do the torso, which is very unique. Another cool thing is you've got this awesome diagram here with the Mark II showing all his weapons, showing that beautiful detailed inner frame, all the inner mechanics, and then you've got this amazing little timeline showing you sort of the history of Gunpla and when everything was released. And you can see the progression from 1985 and the very first models before we had high grades all the way to the perfect grade. That's just a really cool diagram, and I'm glad they included that. And after you finish building the upper body and backpack, we are moving on to the legs, still with that great artwork. Almost every page you get a beautiful picture, and then we have the waist, and then some extra stuff showing you where to store the weapons. I'm glad they included that, and showing you how the base works. You can pull it forward as sort of a launching platform, as if you're getting ready to deploy, getting ready to launch if you want to display it like that. Just make sure you move the lift out of the way first, and you'll be good to go. And they have also included this beautiful artwork on the back, showing you a painting guide in case you want to have it just right. Make sure that it's anime accurate and everything looks great with those paints. But since I'm not painting this guy, let's just go ahead and unbox this bad boy and show off our plastic. This model kit comes mostly color accurate. The only correcting stickers we have a little yellow for the shield, and then the lenses and the eyes. As for decals, you get this cool dry sheet right here, little Anaheim Electronics logo, AEUG on there, looking really nice. And then you also get these stickers, these caution stickers, and you get quite a lot of extra ones in case you drop them because they are quite small, and extra stickers is always a plus. The Gundam Mark II AEUG version 2.0 released late October, early December of 2005. The retail price currently sits at $49, but you can get it at Amazon for 95 bucks. Gotta love those upcharges, and the reason why is because it can be hard to find at online stores due to Bandai's irregular printing schedule, so these guys are pretty frequently out of stock. So we're gonna start showing off these runners here. Something I'm really liking about this is there is great lining detail. You can see here we got the backside of the backpack looking fantastic, and everything in this kit has that great lining. The armor panels looking great. A lot of it is pretty flat because this is an old kit, so it's one of those old style, more blocky type of mobile suits, but it has some good lining. There's a lot of lines in the right places just to make it look great, and of course whenever we add that color, it's going to set everything off. It's going to bring it all together, and it's just going to look nice and classy. It's going to look beautiful. And here you can see we have some weapon parts. We got these removable clips, which is a great feature of this kit, and this guy features a full inner frame with detailed mechanics. This kit set the standard for inner frame detail and articulation, especially in the legs, and this guy here is a massive upgrade from the original 1998 Master Grade, bringing it closer to the engineering of a larger Perfect Grade. You can see all that detail on even the inside of these panels, on the back side of the shield. That's one thing that you don't see very often, is you actually have panel lines on the inside as well as the outside. This model also has an armor sliding mechanic where it bends and you open up the joints and the armor panels slide open, which is why it's often compared to the Perfect Grade. And here we are looking at some more of that beautiful frame. You can see the torso. I am super stoked to color that thing. We're gonna do some bronze on the outside, and we're gonna be color inside those chest vents chrome. And then they've got some pistons on there as well. And then you've actually got some molded in chrome pistons for the ankles. And then we've got some nice yellow vents right here and the V-fin to go on top. And then we've got our skirt pieces, and something to note here is the back one is not bendable, however the side and fronts are. And then of course we have some nice red for the feet, and we get two of these runners of course. And then you've got this wire, which helps your astronauts fly. And then we also have a purple threaded wire for the mobile suit in the backpack and the back of the legs. And of course, you've got this awesome display base. This is a huge plus. Like I said, it's sort of like a launcher pad, so it pulls forward into the launch position. You can look as if you're crouching and getting ready to sortie into battle, and you're getting ready to launch off into space. So I just find that super cool, and I wish Bandai would do some more bases just like that. And now that we've seen the runners, we're ready to get into this build. And speaking of bases, that's actually the first thing I knocked out. I know this thing was big, so it'd be the best thing to handle first. We've lined up these little astronauts here flying, and then we cut our cord in half, so that way we got them on the display base ready to go. And I think this was the biggest part, so I just wanted to knock it out first. And also I just wanted to do some detailing. You can see we've got some silver and gold on the lift over there, and then we have got some gold on this as well, some chrome in those panel lines. This is how you pull it forward, and I really like to use this chrome, and it looks nice in the panel lines. But the reason I don't always do that is because I find that sometimes it's hard to get it quite all the way clean, especially on dark surfaces like navy blue or black. And here you can see we did some nice detailing. We've got the bronze on the underside of the lift, as well as going up the middle of that support arm there with some silver on the sides, and we've got some gold in the middle of our bars with just a little bit of red in the middle. And now we are ready to start on the proper build, and we are kicking things off with the cockpit. It's a nice round piece. I always like when they do the cockpits like this. You have the nice table, and then you have the pilot sitting in there, and then you've got a nice round piece where it goes in, and the pilot isn't just sort of inserted into a random part in the torso. They actually make a dedicated space for him, and I find that pretty cool. So we're going to be lining up our seat here to make it look nice, because we want to be able to open the cockpit and look at it. He is looking very nice, and we also line the outside there, and we're just going to stick a couple dots of chrome on it. Now he is ready to go, he's ready for battle, and we are ready to build up his mobile suit. We are moving on to the torso, and I've got an awesome idea on how to color this thing. Like I said before, we're going to be doing some chrome in those vents. Before I do that, I have to line it up because we got to make sure it's looking nice. And I think I'm going to be doing some bronze on a lot of it as well around the outside here. And I want to make the spine red, which is going to be amazing. I think that's just awesome. And we've also got these wires in the shoulder sockets here. We're going to be making those red with just a little bit of chrome on the tip. And then we have got these other shoulder pieces. We're going to be doing chrome on the inside, trying to be very, very careful because we're going to be going around it with some bronze. And we've also got those two red wires on the torso, so we're hitting those. And now we're trying to decide what all I want to make bronze, what I'm going to make silver, and the color scheme that I'm going to be going for here. Because you want to make sure you don't want to overload it with one color all over the place. You want to kind of break it up, use gold and silver to complement each other, and you want it just to look nice. So we're putting some chrome on these pistons, and we're going to be hitting these little parts that are upraised, sort of like little screws. We're going to be hitting those, and then we're going to be doing just a little bit of gold in the middle there, and it's going to come out great. Now we are coloring these shoulder pieces, and it was very hard to get this bronze around the chrome like that, so I'm very proud of myself on this color job. And you can see we are going in with the bronze, starting to fill out this frame with color, making sure we don't want to do too much. We just want to make it look nice and separated. And here we have the end result. You can see we actually did chrome around the cockpit hatch itself, so I absolutely love that. And then we did some chrome for the middle of those pistons. You can see the wires on top, and I am so proud of the work that went into this here frame. I absolutely love this, and I am super psyched to show you guys because this was one of my favorite builds so far, and honestly, I'm so proud of it. I think it's probably my best kit yet, and I'm just really happy to show my experience in building it, and also just kind of showing the process of how it went down. And now we're going to be getting into these armor pieces. We've got the neck piece here and the sort of collarbone piece. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to be. But we are getting ready to do some nice bronze on these armor pieces in the recesses. We just want to make sure we are filing it up and making them nice and smooth. And of course, before we color, we always want to line first just to make it more realistic, make it look better. And sometimes even if you color on top of it, it feels good to have the black line around the outside, and it makes it look better. So we are now going to be putting a little bit of chrome inside just a couple of these recesses. We went with mostly bronze, but we wanted to break it up with just a couple chrome ones, getting it nice and clean, making sure the back looks great. And we're going to be using an interesting technique on the front of these armor panels here. I used trial and error to sort of learn this, because you know how you have that little square piece on the chest that goes around the vent, and what you want to do is just dab it ever so lightly with the chrome marker, and you want to make sure you just get a single droplet on there, and then you want to hit it again if it hasn't covered the whole area. The idea is you want the line to draw itself around the edges of the square so you don't have to clean it up. And this is for those areas that are small or tight and you want to get it just perfect line so you don't have to come back and correct it. So we're just going to smooth out that torso and set it aside, because now we are moving on to the head. We are grabbing the V-fin and just trying to make sure these head pieces are nice and smooth, no nub marks. And we're putting in the lens, and a good thing about this is it's very color accurate. The only thing that you're gonna need in order to correct it is coloring some vents and maybe some lenses. It comes very close to being color correct out of the box. And we have almost got our head assembled here. We just got to finish up our Vulcan pod, and I like to color this up. We're gonna do a chrome antenna. Again, we're using that technique I talked about around the inside where the lens is, just barely touching it with a couple droplets of chrome. And now we have got that all the way done. We are setting our face mask to the side because we want to display this as a full inner frame with the full body. So we're going to be working on our frame and just setting our armor panels to the side. And here you can see the front of our Gundam helmet. And as far as mobile suits go, this guy is one of the best designs, the most iconic. He's got a great arsenal. You've got these cool Vulcan pods that attach to the head. And here we have our armor pieces all laid out. You can see I hit it with some bronze, and of course we've got that chrome around that lens piece there like I was talking about, and I think the effect is awesome. And we are moving on. We're gonna do these little beam saber handles, and then we are trying to assemble this backpack. I'm gonna actually be making these purple threads here. I'm going to be coloring these wires chrome just to make it more realistic. So now I am just assembling the backpack and figuring out how these go in here. And actually with these pieces there is a gap, so there's actually nothing behind the thread on the backpack, whereas on the back of the legs there is something where it sort of just drapes over it like a sleeve, and there's plastic underneath. But for these ones we are just coloring them up chrome and weaving it through the hole and hoping they live through the gap without falling. And that's why you want to be careful with these top pieces on the backpack, because when you're moving these back and forth, if you're not careful you might just pop a wire out. I'm also going to be hitting these top vents on the backpack with some chrome as well, and then we're going to be lining those wonderful panel lines on the inside of the backpack, just in case anyone is trying to look at the inside of my Mark II backpack. We are going for bronze with these thrusters, and we are gonna do some chrome on the inside perimeter, but I think that we want to do just a tad of blue on the very middle. If we're able to pull that off, we want to get 3 colors in there. I think it's gonna look really, really nice. So we're just trying to make sure that this chrome is nice and evenly coated and nice and clean, because you don't want to be touching it too much or you might leave fingerprints or smudge the marker. So we just want to make sure that we are doing a good job not smudging it whenever we are coloring these thrusters. And for these ones, I'm actually going with more of a yellow gold instead of the darker bronze that I have. And I think it's gonna look very nice with the chrome and blue in the middle. And then we've got the gold thrusters to tie it all together. It's also very important sometimes to know which order to color, because the markers might accidentally get to where you don't want it. So we might have to do the chrome first and then barely hit it with the blue in the middle. And as you can see here, we have our finished result looking absolutely beautiful. You've got those great black panels on the inside. You can see we've got these nice chrome wires, the chrome on top. The thrusters looking great. We've got that chrome vent on the side there. You can barely see it. And then just a dab of chrome in the middle as well. And just a dab of blue on the inside. So we are good to go on that, and we're ready to move on to the beam rifle. A nice idea I had for this build was I think I'm going to use a nice metallic green to sort of use in the panel lines and to accent pieces of the weapons. But I'm not going to keep it completely green. I'm also going to accent it with some gold and some silver as well. We are also going to put a dab of chrome around this lens just to have a nice line around it. And I think these weapons came out absolutely beautiful. You can see we got a nice tiny line around the lens here. We've got our green in the little lines and in those panels. It's looking great. We've got it lined up as well. And we've also colored our shield in a very unique way. I'm super proud of it. We used some metallic blue and some of that yellow gold. And next we are going to go to the arms, and something very interesting about these is they have a tiny little wire on the inside, so I used a separate blue to get that wire and just a little bit of red as well. And we also have these little armor panels on the shoulder pieces here. We're going to be giving them just a little bit of bronze to break up that dark coloring. And as you can see, we have completed the inner frame for these arms. We went with some chrome on the biceps. Of course, we did a little bit of bronze in between to break it up. And another great idea I thought would be to put some of that green in the panel lines on the mobile suit as well. Very proud of the shield as well. We hitting some chrome on the inside of that shield connector, and also getting ready to work on these legs and work on this bazooka. And we are going to be going with a nice bronze for these ankle pieces here. And personally, I really like putting the kit together frame first. I like to see how it would look as just a skeleton, maybe if it was built in real life. It's one of my favorite parts of the real grades. You always build up that internal frame first, and I like doing the master grades the same way. I just wish Bandai would release some directions so you can do it that way. So you got to be a skilled builder to sort of do it when you can take the armor pieces off and just sort of know where they go or figure out where they go, but you can always flip back in the directions and double check. And we're gonna go with that nice green in that line there, and then we're gonna also be adding some silver to this to sort of liven it up and make it look nice, and then we're gonna add just a touch of chrome to set it off. And for the bottom of the feet, I always make sure that I, at the very least, panel line it up because it just looks much better that way. And so for the color scheme, I'm going with this. I think we're going to keep it mostly red, but I want to do a little bit of colors in the recesses here. I'm thinking a little bit of blue, maybe some silver or chrome, and, you know, maybe just a touch of gold or bronze. We are also doing a splash of red here just to break it up a little bit and keep it looking fresh. And as we're getting pretty close to finishing these feet here, I am really excited to get into these legs because that is where most of the detail is. The torso also has some great detail as well, but the greatest parts are on these legs here, on the sides with those great wires and everything else. And you can see here on the feet that I did a little bit too much chrome coloring on the side there. It's good to note that this frame is made of ABS, so it might crack if you're a little overzealous like I am, so maybe if I did it over again, I would just exclude those ankles. But other than that, all this chrome looks beautiful and it came out so incredibly well. And I'm so happy. The only parts that are a little disappointing is just a little bit of cracking there that we experienced on the hands and just a couple small places. And now we are getting into these legs. I colored a little bit of them off screen just to get those wires in there. They're a little iffy sometimes, and we did some silver and gold in the bottom. Of course, just a couple red circles to mix it up just a little bit. You know, you always want to spice it up with a third color. Makes it all come together that much greater. And now we are getting ready to line up these legs I was talking about. Of course, we're going to do the red on the wire, and then we are using this gold liquid chrome marker, and it looks really nice. We're just going to go in the panel lines with that, and then maybe a couple other places, and then we're doing the majority of the leg here in silver, and then we just have that gold peeking out of those panel lines, just looking excellent. Honestly, guys, I was just so excited for this build. I am